I'm Judge Reinhold.
I'm no internet named Anthony.
And I'm Diaper Chris.
And we're back with the perfect blend, Star Wars: The Force Awakens. And so yesterday, Chris and I saw The Force Awakening in theaters.
You forced me to see it.
Oh, that's good. Right off the bat. And I believe, Anthony, you saw it on Friday.
I saw it Friday morning, yeah.
We're going to talk first about the surrounding hype regarding Star Wars. And here I have an image from Image UR. You see that? That's Han Solo from the movie, and he has the impact font, and he says the hype. It's true, all of it. I'll give it 20 seconds for that to show up.
That certainly
on the
is
screen.
Han Solo.
Oh yeah.
I'm not watching the stream again. Keeping
Okay,
it
that's
spoiler
fine.
free,
Yeah.
so I'm gonna have to take your word for it.
This movie hyped out the roof, right?
Oh yeah. So, first of all, you, Diaper, you made the claim that you saw Jimmy Fallon.
I did. Days prior.
Yes.
I just want to illustrate some of the hype leading up to this.
Mhm.
Okay. I mean, I'm sure you all have been exposed to it, but I'm not someone who takes hype well. I want to say that up front. Days prior, Jimmy Fallon, I had it on. And, because I like to connect with the millennials. And he starts
the
showing...
Millennial Falcon.
Yeah. And he starts showing a cappella singing of all the Star Wars songs. And there's different people, like in Brady Bunch windows, right? And there's some of them's the Star Wars cast. And at the very, very end, Han Solo came in and I groaned.
Cool.
And then the next day, I go to leave for work. And my wife isn't going to work, so I have to move her car, right? I turn on her car, and she had the Christmas station on. And what's playing is Chewbacca growling Silent Night.
In his Wookiee language.
I groaned again.
Wow. The hype, it's true, all of it.
Mm-hmm.
It just
Like Harrison Ford said.
I must say, as a Star Wars aficionado, I mean, most of the time I spent on a cave on Dagobah, so I missed a lot of this. But I was watching football the other day, last Sunday, and there were a lot of Star Wars commercials, and I was getting real annoyed.
But were any actual Star Wars trailers? That's what I want to know.
No,
Cause
it
I've
was
seen
all
maybe
for
one.
a Dodge Durango, but somehow it incorporated the Force.
Yeah, it's Yoda riding in the back of a Dodge Durango.
Right, it was real annoying, real annoying.
And you're a Star Wars guy.
Yeah, it's like Target commercials and stuff, and I honestly, I don't know who those commercials are marketed towards, because, I feel like the Star Wars fans, there's a lot of, 100% eye rolling here, right? It's just, it's all eye rolls. Who are those marketed for? Who's going to be like, oh, well, there's a Stormtroopers at Target, so I'm going to go check that out now. I'm not.
You're going to see it regardless. They already got you.
I'm going to go to Target either way, because my girlfriend needs sweaters, right? So, I'm going to be at Target, but, seeing Stormtroopers isn't going to make me go. It's going to make me less likely to go to Target.
I mean, what if it was a good-hearted Stormtrooper like FM, whatever his name is? Sorry, am I getting into the spoiler talk?
You're already in the spoilers.
Yeah, already in the spoiler
Pull
talk.
it back.
Okay. Yeah, let's pull it back. Also, there's a famous story that made the rounds on social media. Mm-hmm. There's a Fox News contributor getting death threats after she said that she didn't like Star Wars. Here's a quote from her. I'm gonna put this on the stream here.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to take your word for it.
Okay, yeah, here it is. She says, "I have never had any interest in watching space nerds poke each other with their little space nerd sticks, and I'm not going to start now. You people are crazy. You Star Wars people are crazy." What do you think? What do you think about that? Do you think that she's right?
It's a woman after my heart.
I think I'm gonna surprise some people here. I agree. I miss the camaraderie in the nerd community when people hated us.
You feel too accepted now.
The hatred of nerds used to be a warm blanket that covered me at night. I used to know that these people despised me. And now, Star Wars is cool. It's dumb. I
don't know that it's cool. It's just really accepted.
It's accepted.
Okay.
I feel like Lord of the this is Lord of the Rings' fault. This is Peter Jackson, right? Because I feel like this is when the it started to be cool to have read Lord of the Rings. Why couldn't have that been true when I was in 6th grade, darn it? Like, I was getting made fun of every day.
They took your nerd hipster status.
Right, exactly. It's frustrating. I used to be in an elite cult, an elite guild, if you will.
Like the Jedis.
Right, exactly.
And now it's like episode 1. Yeah, all
Everyone's
the Jedis
there.
are running around all over the place.
I wish there would have been 13 people in the theater. It would have been great.
I'm sorry,
You know
man.
what? Those 13 people, they would have been true friends.
Ugh. So she's speaking to a different thing that annoys me
Okay.
that has happened, which is people. Maybe my least favorite thing of the Star Wars faniverse.
Uh-huh.
It's people who yell at people who haven't seen the movies. I notice this. I work with a lot of nerds. I work in an IT department, right? And Star Wars fever is real. It is palpable.
Right.
I work directly with like 10 other people, and 7 of them called off on Friday to go see the movie.
That's cool. I like those guys. I
No.
want to hang out with those guys, Chris. How come you haven't introduced me?
I'm sorry. I can introduce you if you
Yeah, I
want.
appreciate it.
You guys can talk about your light swords.
Yeah, I got one right here, actually.
So then one person comes in and says, "Oh, I have never seen the movies," and everybody freaks out, right?
They all jump on it.
Yeah, they all jump on him. Like, they want to get him with their Jedi choke grip or whatever he does. and I just think it's rude. If people haven't seen a movie, who cares? No big deal. And that's the worst part for me. And she's right. Why do they got to attack me?
Death threats are certainly, the path to the dark side.
Oh, unquestionably.
So they need to rethink it. They need to rethink what they're doing.
I got a question for you, Judge.
Okay.
Where do you fall on the Star Wars in general? Maybe we should go around and talk about this.
Sure, but before we do, can you refer to me as Supreme Commander Judge?
Absolutely, Supreme Commander Judge.
Okay.
Which one's Supreme Commander?
That was Scones or Scroat or whatever his name was. Scroat.
Are we talking about the new movie or the
You gotta
original?
go
movie?
up on Scope.
Snopes. The guy who was in the movie.
Yeah.
I like Star Wars growing up. I watched it on VHS a lot, and I thought it was fun. And then, time kind of went on, and it's like I still like it, but I'm not at Anthony levels, and I'm certainly not at your levels. So I'm gonna rate myself a 5 if Anthony's a 10 and Chris is a 0.
I wouldn't say I'm a 0. I want to say that. That may surprise you. Anthony, you're a 10 on the Star Wars scale, right?
Yeah, no question about it.
It has changed your life. You see those commercials for a Chevy Malibu, and you're that
Like,
little
I'm
kid in
buying that car.
1977
Does that
staring
come with
at
a
the screen.
B88? BB88? I want
That's
it.
you. You want one of those.
Yeah, give me it.
You want to play
No, not true,
football with one of those.
Yeah, for sure.
I'd say I'm more of a 2. I watched the movies as a kid, but only because they were there. You know what I mean?
I thought they were fun. I got a lot of toys from them. They're during the re-releases, and I can't make my mom understand that they're not worth anything because she'll call me every 3 or 4 months. She's like, "You still have stuff in your closet in your old room." I'm like, "Mom, throw them out. They're not worth anything. They're the re-releases."
What characters you got there?
I believe I had a Millennium Falcon and an AT-AT lying around.
Oh, man, you got the good stuff.
What can I say? I was spoiled. I also had a Sega and a Nintendo.
Whoa.
I know, right?
Man.
I didn't have any of the toys.
I wish we were friends growing up. I'd have been at your house every day.
I had starting lineups because I'm a jock.
All right. Well, I guess that's where we stand on our thoughts on the Star Wars. But before we get into spoilers, what did everybody think of the movie? Anthony, why don't you go first?
I wrote a little preamble here. I'm gonna read it to you.
Okay.
Let me get my binder here. My Star Wars
it-
binder.
We the Gungans.
All right, here we go. Throughout the course of human events,
Oh boy.
mankind has only created 2 perfect things. The first, a Christmas gift for you from Phil Spector. And 2 is The Empire Strikes Back. Is The Force Awakens perfect? No. Is it great cinema? Maybe, but probably not.
Wow.
But did I enjoy it as a Star Wars movie? Yes, 1,000 times yes. That's it.
So you're It's good, not great as far as movies go,
Yes.
but great as far as Star Wars goes.
As far as Star Wars movies go, it is great. As far
and Star
as
Wars is a 10
yes,
in your life, so you apply a modifier, a personal modifier to that.
right. It,
So
it
you
was
were-
as good as it could have possibly been.
Huh.
I think. Although I do have some tiny complaints, as we'll get into later, but for the most, I'll give it a 9.5.
Okay. So you're actually going to assign a score to this. I don't think I have a score necessarily. Here's my thought, though. My initial reaction walking out, and Judge might have documented this. This was a good movie, I guess, but I just could care less. They didn't get me to care any more or less about Star Wars, and it seems safe. For better or worse. So, as far as movies go, I guess it was good. But, I don't know. Not really. Wasn't my type of movie. As they never have necessarily been.
This is going to be a real whopper for the crowd because I too, came out of the movie theater being like, it was okay. I mean, it didn't rekindle any of the childhood nostalgia that apparently the internet makes the claim that it did for some of them, but it certainly wasn't terrible. I guess we could go right into spoilers here. I think a lot of my issues are kind of like they just redid episode 4.
Yeah, unquestionably.
Right. It's like poetry. It rhymes. So
It was clearly a reimagining.
they call it a soft reboot in the biz.
Is that what they call it?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So
How quickly did it take you to realize? It took me about 10 minutes.
Yeah, not long at all.
And I'm not a Star Wars head.
we'll start it from the beginning here. When the opening title crawl came across, I said, "Oh, that's a good premise."
No. Back up. The Lucasfilms thing came across at the theater we were in, cheered.
There were no reactions from the entire movie from the theater that I was at. When I saw it,
Wow.
literally no applause afterwards, no nothing.
You saw it like day one too, and
I saw
you saw it like
day,
day 2.
I guess technically day one, yeah.
I need to go see it at your theater. So let me take a step even further back. Sorry.
Everyone seemed to be like there were like a lot of like approving nods throughout the movie as it was in the back row, so I was able to like take it all in. There was like approving nods, but like there was no applause, no gasps. Even when stuff happened.
Now we're into spoilers,
Okay,
so
even when Han got his comeuppance
his comeuppance for being a bad dad.
for being not a great dad.
For being not great in movies the last few years.
Yeah, not a peep.
Not a peep.
The only thing about the crowd, and I'm usually a person who is very annoyed at crowds during movies because I'm old.
Same.
The only thing that I was annoyed about is someone got into the theater as the opening crawl was coming, and he was like right next to me. The person right next, so he I missed. I had to like go up and read when the font was getting small, so I was annoyed by that. Other than that, the crowd couldn't have been more milquetoast. It was just not. It couldn't be swayed one way or the other, which was fine actually. It's a good way to watch a movie, in my opinion.
Judge, I know you're giving your take, but for a second, let me talk about when we walked into the theater.
That's true.
And
Yes.
Judge hands the ticket to the lady that's taking the tickets, and she hands us 3D glasses. And he said, "I didn't get 3D," and she said, "Yes, you did."
Oh no!
And he immediately was
I
pissed.
was mad. I was very mad.
Oh no! You guys watch it in 3D?
Yeah, we saw it in 3D accidentally.
No.
Time
Well,
out.
no wonder
In
you
the
didn't
first
like
row.
it.
We were in the first row.
In
Yeah.
the first row in 3D.
Wait, what happened?
So we saw it at a theater.
Uh-huh.
You probably have been there, Anthony,
Yes,
of course.
I'm sure I have.
But we had to pick our seats ahead of time, and the only 2 seats that were next to each other, because Diaper insisted we sit next to each other. He's like, "I don't want to sit next to a person I don't know." I'm like, "Oh, well, that's sweet."
There was people in stormtrooper outfits in there.
No, there weren't.
There was a guy in the commander outfit.
There's a guy wearing suspenders. I don't think that was actually a costume, Chris.
There was a guy. You didn't see the guy with the black boots? He was
I thought he was staff.
he would.
So in order to read the opening title crawl, we had to like a typewriter, like look to the left and then go to the right and then look to the left and then go to the right.
Cool.
But it is still, I like the premise. Luke Skywalker has disappeared.
Yeah. Classic title crawl. Just couldn't have been better. That opening title crawl, A+.
I agree.
Judge turned to me and said, I like the premise. I said, sounds like a dumb fan fiction.
I agree.
Again, A+.
Which is, again, the best they could have done was a
Right.
dumb fan fiction.
Right.
They're on a planet that's completely different from Tatooine called Jakku.
Jakku, yeah.
And there's no similarities at all
Nope.
to Tatooine. No. I don't like the Poe Dameron character. He reminds me of that guy from the Avengers, the Starscream.
Oh, cool.
The Starman.
I have a note about him, too. I said, he reminds me of Jake Johnson from New Girl. You guys know what I'm talking about, right?
No.
I'm sure all the Star Wars nerds do, too.
They're going nuts right now.
Go on. Poe Dameron, you don't like him.
No, not particularly a fan. I don't like his cocky attitude. He gives the MacGuffin, which is a map to Mr. Luke Skywalker, to the new marketable robot called BB-88.
Yes.
And then those crazy stormtroopers come
Who's
down.
not like R2-D2 at all, BB-8.
Oh, no.
Right?
He's totally different.
I think
He's
that's
voiced
about
by
the
Bill
time-
Hader.
When he puts the map in, I'm like, oh, this is like the original.
Which is literally just 2 minutes into the movie.
Maybe not even, yeah. That's
Right.
Is that about the time it hit all of you?
Yeah. I was like, oh, okay. This is what we're doing. Which is fine. I was okay with it.
Yeah, he puts it in, and those crazy stormtroopers come down, and one of them has a crisis of conscience.
Yes.
I think this is I think that was a nice way to retcon the clone thing. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure about like the mythos. Can you elaborate on this, Anthony? Like, were the original clone troopers replaced by people who got hired like later on? What is the actual
and
explanation?
I think they kind of imply it later in the film is that because this one had the crisis of conscience, it seems like they
I know in this movie they're kidnapping kids.
they're kidnapping kids.
They're
I
like
think
brainwashing
in the
them.
original mythos, which most is no longer canon, so it's not really we don't really have much to refer to. Is that they were just hiring folks. So and that kind of brings me to a point. I don't know if I want to go over this now or later, and you can tell me about getting rid of the old canon. Do you want me to wait till later to talk about that?
No, go right ahead.
Okay. So in preparation to see this film, I did a lot of
canon.
work.
You don't mean the canon like that they fired to blow up the planets?
No,
do you?
no, you dingus.
Sorry.
I went back and sort of went through the greatest hits of the old canon, and I'm not sorry to see it go. Frank,
The greatest hits of the old canon.
A lot of Star Wars fans are going to be real mad at me right now.
Are you talking about the expanded universe?
Yeah, the expanded
Okay,
universe.
yeah, that's all crap.
It's mostly, it's like 90% really bad, and the 10% that people think is great, it's because they read it when they were 13. I went back and listened to I listened on audiobook to the Thrawn trilogy, which is like everyone considers like, oh, this is the greatest expanded universe. It's like, it's a solid C. It's like,
what is the Thrawn trilogy about? Explain to a layman like
here's
me.
the premise. There's the sort of like in this new film, there's sort of an Imperial remnant, right? So there's some Imperials that survived after the Death Star. So the premise of this trilogy is there's this Grand Admiral, right? He's this blue guy named Thrawn, and he's like a genius, right? He's a super genius. And he's able to, you guys, the eye rolls here is going to be incredible. I can't wait to
I've already eye rolled like 40 times. Go on.
The premise of this guy is he's able to understand the cultures and like military tactics of other races by studying their art.
Oh.
Yeah, it's cringeworthy. So like, and this guy, he's like, he knows you're never able to surprise him. He like always knows. He's the kind of villain that like always knows what the heroes are going to do like 4 years before the heroes do it. He's really not good, but people love him. People think he's like the greatest thing since Ewoks, which I understand were really popular.
Since Darth Maul.
Right.
His double-sided lightsaber.
But like it all comes off as like these all came out in like the early 90s, and they all read like they were written like in the early 90s.
Yeah, it's like about
they keep
Nirvana.
talking about Ace and Base. Oh.
Yeah. Like there's a part in it that like early on I knew there was going to be a struggle to get through where like Luke's in his room, right? And he's mixing up a drink. He's like, "Oh, Lando taught me this cool new drink that I'm really excited about. Guess what it is, guys? Guess what it is?
Surge.
Hot chocolate." It's hot chocolate.
We got a humdinger from the chat here from Roscoe P. Soultrain, who says that the blue guy looked at Venus de Milo and he said, "This culture doesn't bear arms at all." You got him.
Got it.
Great. That's good.
Good work.
So, I went back and reread
What's so
them.
90s about a hot chocolate?
No, not that in particular, but it's just like, I don't know. The bad guy, it felt very dated.
Luke is a latchkey kid.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it felt very dated. The writing style and
Gotcha.
the narrative. in
So, okay,
general.
so you went back and inspected the old canon, the
I
greatest
did, yeah.
hits.
Of which I do own quite a bit of, so I was able to go through it, and yeah, most of it just not that great.
You're not shedding any tears for it.
No, not at all. I'm excited to start on a new foot.
Another thing from the chat too, from Kurt Phillips. Were we supposed to know who the old guy was at the beginning? Because I didn't either.
No, I don't
I'm
think we were, which adds to the Star Wars mystique, which I kind of like when they do stuff like that, when they just are like, we're not going to explain this.
I do as well. They actually did a lot of this.
They did a ton of it, and I was into it 100%. I was like, okay,
I'm
good.
totally okay with it.
Yeah, I'm 100% okay.
Like, I mean, this is another thing that makes it evident that they're rebooting the fourth one, right? Like, in the fourth one, there's 3 other stories before that you're not even told about.
Right, exactly.
The backstory is just implied, almost.
Right, yeah. It makes it more interesting.
It adds more mystery.
Yeah, exactly. It's the Dark Souls effect, right? You don't really know 100% what's going on, which makes it more intriguing and makes you want to dig in more.
That's good. I agree. So, where do we leave off? The Stormtrooper Crisis of Conscience, yes.
Yeah. He wipes some blood across his face. I'm like, my God. That's what I said.
That was good. I'm like, wow. The horror. And I also liked when the robot was going away and then like an alien poked his head out of the sand and he looked at it. I'm like, oh, that's funny. They could make jokes.
I was hoping he would pop him on the head when he did that. Was there ever blood in the Star Wars before this?
I don't remember. I don't... Like, why was there blood, right? Lasers, like, burn you.
I don't think we saw blood again either.
No, I don't think we did either.
We did with Kylo Ren.
Oh, that's
and he
true.
was punching his hip.
Yeah.
He's like, the Seatta's acting up. He's punching his side.
That was cool. All right,
There was blood in the original series. I recently rewatched Empire.
Okay.
And one of the snowspeeder guys has like a bloody face.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah, I've been watching these again to try and get into the mood.
I meant to rewatch all the films, and I just was busy these last couple of weeks. I didn't have time, so unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to.
I watched The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, and I arrived at one inescapable conclusion.
Yes.
And that was the worst part about Darth Vader is that he's a micromanager.
He is. Yeah.
If you remember in the movies, he would like go out like to Hoth,
right?
Like with all the stormtroopers, and like be walking around.
Yeah.
I hate when my manager like always asks me for status updates, and like he's like down there,
right? Yeah.
Come on,
those stormtroopers would
Mr.
probably
Vader,
do a better
let me
job
work.
if they didn't know Vader was over their back the whole time, right?
Right.
Give them a little
Yeah.
more freedom.
That's probably why they can't shoot straight because they're so
Probably.
nervous.
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure.
And Poe Dameron goes on the Star Destroyer of the bad guys, the First Order.
Yes.
They're like the
Nazis.
the new empire.
New Nazi empire. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was really subtle.
Yeah.
You had to pay close attention for the whole Nazi thing, but
No film in the history of time has ever made like a Nazi allegory in a subtle way. It's impossible to do. So I'm not going to fault them too heavily for that.
oh sure. And then we're introduced to Kylo Ren,
Yes.
who's the new Darth Vader.
Yes.
Except he's not like as dumb as Darth Vader was
Right.
in Episode 4, where he's just like a weirdo
Right.
who like dresses up.
Yeah.
He dresses up like that because he just likes to feel covered up.
Yeah, he does talk to a mask though.
Yeah.
later.
Spoiler alert. He just wants to be grandpa, which I can understand, right?
So, can we talk about his mask
Yeah.
and when he
Yeah.
takes it off?
Uh-huh.
So, I didn't know who he was, right? I didn't know any of the actors playing anybody.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So, the big part where he takes off his mask
Did you-
for the
did
first
you
time
laugh?
happens. I laughed
Yeah.
because I watched the show Girls
Right. Exactly.
because I'm a jerk like that.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, that's Lena Dunham's boyfriend from Girls.
Yeah.
And he plays a goofy weird ball in Girls.
Right. Exactly.
He pees on her in the shower and
Yep.
it's into woodworking and stuff and doesn't own a TV.
Yeah.
and I immediately projected all these character traits onto what's his name, Khal Drago.
Yeah.
What's his name? Kylo Ren.
Kylo Ren, yes. Or Ben.
And I'm
Solo,
like, oh,
if you want.
he's a weirdo. That's what I immediately thought. So actually, it was a good casting.
Yeah.
It did a lot to flesh out the dark side that was dwelling within him because he pees on his girlfriend.
Yeah, give him a real like, dare I say, like a molester vibe.
Yeah, for sure.
Which is scary. He's scary in a different way than Vader. Then they differentiated him, right?
Right. That's
They made him a creepy weirdo who probably like, secretly films you.
yeah.
So Darth Vader is
What
just
a
like
guy.
a badass walking around. This guy's more twisted.
He's flawed. He's
Like looking at your internet history.
I wonder what this guy feels about sand, but I guess to the larger point, he tortures Poe Dameron for a while.
Yes.
And it's to demonstrate that he's a Force guy.
Yes.
He knows the Force.
Yes.
And then
He catches that earlier in the film. He catches that laser bolt, which I thought was pretty cool.
Oh, that was cool.
Yeah.
That was cool.
I wasn't impressed.
Man, it's nothing.
I don't find these things that cool. I like characters.
That's part of his character.
Yeah, he can catch laser bolts. It's badass.
It's dumb.
And he pees on his girlfriend.
Yeah, see, that's cool. Wait, well, not cool. I don't condone that. But
Oh, boy.
that makes for a
What if it's
character with a lot of
consensual
depth.
peeing onto your girlfriend? What about that?
All right. Okay.
Get
So
out.
the Finn, he gets to be called.
Right.
He saves Poe Dameron. And it was like poetry. It rhymed. They were escaping from a Star Destroyer above a desert planet.
Yes.
And then this time, instead of not shooting it, they shot at it.
Yes.
And then they went into the desert.
So I want to stop you here, and I want to say this is the bromance between Poe Dameron and Finn is 100% my favorite part of these films.
I didn't like it. I didn't get it.
If this movie would have just been like a buddy picture between Poe Dameron and Finn, 10 out of 10, best picture.
I like Finn. I don't like Poe Dameron though.
Oh, why do you guys not like Poe Dameron? Seems like a cool guy.
I like when Poe Dameron named Finn. Like, he gave him his name. It was like a real anime moment.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Like, he's like, oh, I'm going to call you Finn from now on. Mm-hmm. Like, you might as well give him a sword right there, too.
Well, I mean, he gets a sword later, so.
I know. But it's all right. I don't know. Their bromance is whatever. They see each
I
other
was just
once.
so into their bromance, guys. I was just like so into it the whole time.
They take one 10-minute flight together.
Right. If that,
And then
if that
later
would
in
have
the
just been
movie,
the
they,
rest
like,
of the
find
movie,
each
I'd have been
other.
okay with it. Just 100% they're in the TIE fighter the rest
All
of
right,
the
Anthony,
movie.
I want to ask you this.
Yeah.
You've flown before in your life, right? Now you sat next to a stranger on a flight.
Yeah.
Then maybe you struck up some conversation with or whatever.
No, I'm more of a put your earphones in kind of guy. And
Well, let's say you did. Let's say then that a couple days later you run into that stranger. Would you hug them?
well, but like, no one would be shooting at me. If I assume, getting shot at from a Star Destroyer is a harrowing experience. They escape together.
They're bonded for life with them.
Right. Yeah. If I went through a
Okay.
traumatic experience with someone and then thought they were dead, right, as Finn does, and then I saw him, a couple of days later, I'd be like, oh my gosh, you're not dead. That's really exciting.
Finn,
Maybe go
Finn
give
and
him a
Poe, a
hug.
little too strong of a hug later in the movie when they saw each other.
I think I get what you're getting at here, and that's there's nothing wrong with that.
Feels like we skipped a few steps in their friendship, even though they were part of a moment. But okay,
I think they were trying to rush the Luke Han bromance that kind of occurred
I don't know that
at some point.
Luke and Han are ever like super bros, though. I feel like these guys are already more bros than Luke and Han ever were.
Rewatch Empire. They give each other a lot of meaningful looks in the hangar after the Wampa almost kills
they're
Luke.
like having beers with each other, bros, but not frisbee bros.
Okay.
Very good way of putting. Yeah, I agree. That's a good way of saying it.
Okay. No, that was 100%. I was so into the bromance. Just
Okay.
super into it. Okay. You can continue.
So this is kind of where the movie gets muddy to me. I think this is where we're introduced to Rey.
I think you're right, yeah.
Somewhere in the middle there, I think we were, but yeah.
This is like the end of the first act,
Yeah.
beginning of the second act. And long story short, they find the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah.
It was lying around in the parking lot.
That was good.
That was cool. I like that.
And then they meet Han Solo and Chewbacca, and Chewbacca looks better than ever. I think he's like on the hair club for men or something because Han is just sagging all over the place,
sure.
but Chewbacca looks better than he did in Episode 4.
Maybe it's Bosley.
If you remember, Chewbacca is in episode 5, I think, or not episode 3.
Oh yeah.
So like that, and there's like 70 years between this time, right? So I don't know the lifespan of a Wookiee, but yeah, Chewbacca's looking spry as fudge.
Maybe he's got Benjamin Button disease.
That could be. Is that part of the expanded universe?
It is now.
Episodes? Okay.
We'll
It's in the Thad Chronicles or
JJ.
whatever Anthony listened to on YouTube.
Thad Chronicles. It's a disinterested elf, but so they didn't talk about midichlorians, and they didn't talk about Jar Jar. Not that I expected them to.
I was
Is that stuff just like out the window too? Like the prequels are just kind of like, that didn't really happen.
I think that they're still, they're there. I think we're just not gonna talk about them going forward, which I think is kind of a shame because there were some okay things that sprung from the prequels. I'm not a 100% prequel hater.
I'm just happy they didn't take a pot shot at my beloved Jar Jar.
No, I
like have him be dead in the background.
Yeah.
I feel like the
oh.
consensus is like Jar Jar either got blown up on Alderaan or in this latest cascade of exploding planets. Which I'll talk about more when we get to it.
I'm just happy they didn't do like everyone's like, in a situation like the garbage chute in the original movie. And they're like, oh, thank God we don't have a Gungan with us. And like the theater would laugh and I would roll my eyes.
Our theater was pretty muted. I mean, not as muted as Anthony's, but
They cheered 4 times. And I
You
think
counted. Okay.
I mean, cheering. Like there were a couple people in the theater who went woo, and then like that
We're
was
embarrassed
it.
and shut up.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
And both of them were me. So they meet Han Solo and Chewbacca on their wacky spaceship, and they're like doing a Pokemon thing where they like capture Marlboros from Final Fantasy VII.
Oh,
Yep,
yeah, that was cool.
That was cool.
And you forgot about the Jabba the Hutt replacement, who's just like this fat guy.
Oh,
the CGI
yeah.
guy. He like lives in a cage.
Mm-hmm.
And he takes parts. And he said, "That's my ship." When they flew away in the Millennium Falcon.
He said, "My boat."
And me and Judge both looked at each other very slowly and rolled our eyes and looked back at the screen. Sorry,
Cool.
wanted to get that detail out there. Anyways,